nhớ rong giấy rong nhật gì cái tên cha thì hay chụp phong dư đợt nào cũng bỏ lì ba nhá họ mong thuần sri news rong xe tàu là chỉ nhất rồi nung nó cũng biết họ sở sự chẳng chẳng như thạc kia rồi bây giờ nhật gì cái tên cha mong nhá trộn đờ lút sang Minnesota thì nhá một trộn lửa lút sang đờ tết chơi America nó cũng có khoa chức sang từที่อีKerry từที่อ้อยเครื่องก็sở chếต่อ Minnesota Original Poison Center เลยตัวถาที่จะเขียนจบไปจนเนี่ยจะพงษ์的包装จนเย่ยังต่อหารงว่าเนี่ยยังนอกจิตเอา有人的臭毛的cũng不能看上去那多荣先到这个到人记住重点几个的那家庭总朋友做都做路线了，侬那国家偏不晒说是海浪的奥特霍出生要美利加水节的 Minnesota Original Poison Center ตัวที่อีอยาก carry ตัวที่อ้อยอยากเคยก็ยังตัวถาจะจะเย่ไปหมู่ต่อหาร้อยนี่ต้องมาเคยจะเย่เนาะเนาะเย่ในรูอเมริกาเลยยหัวเดียอเมนิดากุชิโปเดียหอนเย่เนาะรูมงยอชอยหูเลยจ้าbây giờเนี่ยสิก็ต้องจ่ายในป่อหอนเย่รงในนอเลยขอรงชับเลยเขียนในจะเชิงจะเจเขียนในเตมีตู้มีหนัวเขียนในเตพงเตยืยันในป่อหอนเย่รงในขอย้อนได้สกรีนนั่นเลยถอนในจีซอนนออยู่หาแต่ในหอนนออยู่เกลเลยนี่อยู่ตัวหูตัวสตงยังหัวกันนอที่บนตัวป้าตัวโจเน่ยังแต่คนนั้นตอนสิกูจะเป็นมันใช่จะรู้ว่าเคยที่เคยอยู่ตัวถากเคยไปจนเดือดจีมงrồi nó bây giờ chỉ tao mong chạy ô lô mong trốn nè lì rồi quyết chia cả tới tụi mong tôi chạy cho lù nó rồi bây giờ nhiệt gì nhưng nó tao bắt tao chế nên họ bao lù mình lại cả chỉ cho rong chỉ tạo nên sự giờ thì nên nó họ sở sự nó là theo cái này chỉมีตู้มีหยดchạy họ lù mình cả nó trốn nên cho uống điều gì nhưng nó tao bắt tao chế điอย่าง gầu theo cũngจะเป็นไม่ใช่จะลù nó thìอย่างrong đi chả
Hi, my name is Carrie Oakland. I'm the clinical supervisor at the Minnesota Regional Poison Center.
And I'm Kirk Hughes, the professional educator at the Minnesota Regional Poison Center.
And we're here today to talk to you about wild mushroom safety. As you guys know, we've had an increase in rain throughout the spring and summer this year, which has led to a very large increase in mushroom exposures. Certainly calls that we have gotten at the Minnesota Poison Center. Our calls have gone up nearly 150% from this time last year to this year. We've seen a large increase in these exposures in kids and adults who are foraging mushrooms.
So mushroom foraging sounds like something that's fun, sounds like a good hobby, and a lot of people that immigrate from other countries we know pick mushrooms in their native countries. Unfortunately, when they come here, sometimes they can pick mushrooms that are poisonous that look a lot like ones that are edible from their own countries. So for example, this mushroom is called an Amanita bisporigera. This is the only poisonous mushroom that can be life-threatening in the state of Minnesota. Back in 2006, we had the unfortunate incident where we got a call from a hospital where a young Hmong girl, 10-year-old, had wound up ingesting this particular mushroom inadvertently. It was mixed in amongst other ones that looked like it. She ate part of it. She wound up dying as a result, unfortunately. Her younger sister got very sick and an uncle got very sick that required hospitalization. There were some other ones in her family that got mildly sick that did not need hospitalization, but that was from one mushroom. And so we don't really recommend going out mushroom hunting unless you know exactly what you're doing. If for some reason you do go out mushroom hunting and you're not quite sure about it, don't eat it. We have a couple of sayings. Don't munch on a hunch. There are old mushroom hunters and bold mushroom hunters. There's no old bold mushroom hunters because they're not around anymore. And then we always say any mushroom can be edible, sometimes only once. And so we don't want you to go ahead and eat these first and then get sick later. What we want you to do is, if you really want to, take a picture, call the Poison Center. We can give you an email, and then we can look at it or have an expert look at it and then call you back or email you back and say, yes, these appear to be okay, or we're not sure about it, you shouldn't eat it. And that number is?
1-800-222-1222.
And we have interpreters available, including Hmong, and so please utilize us. There are other mushrooms too that we see in Minnesota that can be edible. In the fall, we have some orange mushrooms. Most of the orange mushrooms are mildly poisonous and they can cause you to vomit. What are some of the hallmarks of a poisonous mushroom, Carrie?
Some of the hallmarks of a poisonous mushroom. So if they're white, as Kirk mentioned, we want to avoid those. Other things that you'll notice on the stem of the mushroom, there'll be a little skirt around the mushroom. That is something that you want to stay away from. And then at the base of the mushroom, there'll be a cup where you can see that growing out of the ground. Again, most of these parts are going to be bright white. A lot of times they're growing next to trees, so not out in the open grass, but anything that's white, the best thing to do is avoid those mushrooms.
And if you do happen to eat a mushroom that's all white that you think is okay, and you get sick anywhere from 4 hours or later, that's an indication that you ate this particular mushroom and the time is ticking. It can destroy your liver, and so we would need you to come in at that point if you had delayed GI effects, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, 4 hours plus after ingesting it, and then we would take some labs and find out if your liver is doing okay or if it's not. There are some experimental types of treatments that we can obtain, but they take time to do. We just recently had a case a couple weeks ago where a lady went ahead and ate one of these also. Her liver is very insulted and she got very, very ill to the point we thought that she was going to need a liver transplant. But we did obtain this treatment that they use over in Europe, but it's experimental here. We got that in and it wound up probably saving her life. So you need to call us if there's any suspicion that you've been poisoned by a mushroom. And don't throw the mushroom away. Please keep the mushroom, take pictures of them before you eat them, because it's very important for us to try and identify it before it's gone. Some people eat the mushroom like, oh my gosh, I got sick, and they throw it in the garbage, and then we don't have it anymore. And that number is 800-222-1222. This is a national number, but if you dial it anywhere from Minnesota, North Dakota, or South Dakota, the area code, it will come to us at Hennepin Healthcare, where the state's poison center is located. It does not have to be an emergency to call us. Nobody's going to get you in trouble. It is confidential. We're open 24/7, and we're just there to help. And then maybe you can tell some safety tips.
Yeah, so we've mostly focused on adults going to forage mushrooms, but the other sort of calls that we get are kids finding a mushroom in the yard and picking it up and eating it. So it's really important to make sure you educate your children not to eat anything from outside prior to asking. And if they do eat anything from outside, again, that is an easy call to the Poison Center where we can help troubleshoot any issues, hopefully identify the mushroom if you still have that, and make a referral to a hospital if we need that.
So, question for you. Does cooking poisonous mushrooms make them non-poisonous?
It doesn't. Not always does that happen. So make sure, even if it's cooked, you can still run into some big medical issues, and you should call the Poison Center.
Absolutely. So the big keys are be very careful with all white mushrooms in this state. They can be deadly. If you want them identified, you can take a picture, send them to, call the Poison Center. We'll tell you where to send them, and then we'll try and identify them. If we can't positively identify it, we're going to tell you just not to eat them, unfortunately. And remember, the best mushrooms to eat are the ones from the store because none of those are poisonous.
And as a last reminder, always call the Poison Center at 1-800-222-1222. And we'd really like to thank the Hmong Twin Cities News for having us out today.
Thank you so much.
我中到多重点，这个的那家庭中朋友说的我，那到山蒙屯市的弄考所是，还做研究，我哪知道了，做这里那了。到个人毕竟呢就自己一路到把到这了，人家通不能的路的全来干了，人那保行业那，人那行那到有给了，人那么路路天天杀到给巴，那葫芦头杀到就到干了，เลยยังมันป้าตรงนี้ก่อนที่ป้อมึงชักขนาดสิที่จิตาเลยนั่นสิเลยยังมันมุ่งใช้ลูกตรงนี้ที่อย่างกูเทียว่าจงตรงนี้ตัวใช้ในวิดีโอเนาะเทียทอนในป้าเชื่อในวิดีโอเราไปโซลินสุดตัวก็เชื่อได้ป่ะว่าจงตรง